The fact that we have to make these distinctions in 2022. I was talking about this with somebody the other day with the whole thing about the black coaches and how it's now 2.5 men. And you're thinking that we have to make these distinctions at this point, and that the NFL has to reach and go, wow, he's half a black guy, that McDaniel, half a black guy. There you go. It's working. And you're thinking, why do we have to make these distinctions with white and black? I know it sounds kind of simple to say that, but why can't people just accept each other for who and what they are? And if you look at Lubie and me, obviously we're white and have benefited from the fact that we don't have to add in. It's like these people are walking around, unfortunately, sadly to say today, with at least one strike on them from birth.
Yep.
It's kind of a sad statement that this is where we're at today.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
A very pleasant good morning, everybody. Good to have you with us on this fine Wednesday. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz here on On Channel. Jack Namer's fine organization, broadcasting, streaming, video, audio, all around the world. And you got a gist of what this show is all about right there at the top there with that opening clip.
Nonsense.
We are crusaders for social equality.
Yes, actually, that clip does not say us at all.
No, Lubie, you were banging your head against the wall during that whole George Floyd thing. And, of course, we were in the midst of the pandemic, so nobody was working. Nobody was riding to work. But we had an audience of 0.0 in terms of people traveling that were listening to the radio at the time. And there we were. We came up with virtually every solution. Had anybody heard our voices, we would have been elected president and vice president of the United States. And unfortunately, we would not be sitting here right now doing a sports broadcast on an audio and video stream. So, you know what? It's good. Pursue the thing that you really want in life. That's what it's all about, Lubie. I keep thinking about this because as you get older, and at this stage, old is not even a relative term anymore. I mean, it's an absolute fact. You feel like, let's face it. Once you hit 50, you're more than halfway home, people. More than halfway home. And you get to 70, you're day to day. You really are.
No.
Hey, what's the status of Deforrest? Yeah, he's day to day, pretty much. I mean, if I ever, I don't know if I want to buy a boat. I had a boat for a little while that didn't run. And actually, I had found it adrift at sea. I didn't find it. A friend of mine found it and brought it over to my house because I had a dock space behind my house at the time. And I had a couple of wave runners. You had a lot of fun on those things.
Those were
nearly
great.
Killing yourself. That was very exciting. And that was good enough for me. I'm not really inclined. I'm not particularly adept mechanically. I knew just enough to keep the wave runners running for the most part. I mean, obviously with a lot of assistance from real mechanics because those things will break down, my friends. Especially if you ride them on salt water. But I had a boat, and the only thing that it did, it would sit behind my house, and then anytime it rained, it would sink. And my neighbors would call me frantically. If I didn't have that bilge pump, I would have never been able to maintain this thing. And I eventually sold it to some guy for $500. But because the fiberglass alone, I guess, was or the hull, whatever, might have been worth that. Just a mess of wires, but. Yeah, I mean, if you're inclined to go out on boats or you're thinking about buying one, you might want to rethink your position because it's just one of those things that is a constant sieve of cash, much like, buying a new home can be, right? You move in, you're thinking everything's great. Very rarely do you find a turnkey operation. You usually find something that was not necessarily discovered when whoever it was that you paid $300 to do the inspection. And they just happen to miss that. Guess what? All the electricity in here is tantamount to a fire hazard. Okay, got to redo everything.
It's all of that.
You have to kind of regroup. But, looking at all the different things that happen, and as you get older, you realize that, being judgmental is kind of stupid, even though as you become older and more crotchety, you tend to be much more short-fused in terms of giving people a chance, right? Guy passes me and he won't move over on the sidewalk there, almost bumps into me during this COVID-19 thing. And you're saying to yourself, hey, listen, you asshole, why don't you move over? Subliminally to yourself. You might be saying that. And I'm thinking, well, why am I so bitter here? I'm out there walking in the sunshine. it's a good thing. So we don't want to necessarily be judgmental, and far be it from us to be the people that you would go to solve all of the problems of social injustice. And you were, I mean, just campaigning, Lubie, during that period of time. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about. There was no sporting activity whatsoever. People were in shock. They didn't know where this whole thing was going. I mean, here we are nearly 2 years later, and you're finally getting the feeling that maybe it's on a decline, that we might be coming out of this thing. Do you believe that yet, Mike Lubitz?
I mean, the two of us are gonna be traveling. I'm going away at the end of April to Greece. So
Greece. Listen to you, Mr. World Traveler.
Yeah, this is my wife. You're going to Italy, Mr. Europe, in May, and then I think at the end of the year I'm going to Morocco. So between the two of us, there's a lot of travel going on. So my wife believes it's gone. I hope it is. I really don't know.
Well, I've done a little bit of traveling over the last year or so, and I haven't had any problems. Although our buddy Jersey Kyle, man, the Big C, last couple of weeks socked in with
COVID. Remember when you see the Big C?
Oh yeah, I had a Big C.
COVID.
It used to be cancer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's fine.
He's fine,
and he's surviving. The problem is, you got to do, you have to do the right thing, and stay away from people. I don't know that you want to be, sitting there yelling and screaming at a ball game or going to the racetrack and go, "Come on, that 5!" Phlegm is, flying all over the place. So I don't know that you could deem it just an inconvenience. It's a pain in the ass to not feel well. I mean, one thing, I think these vaccines were very good at fighting off the common cold.
I haven't
they should have been developed years ago, because I remember that was always the big thing. Wow, they can find a cure for cancer, but they can't find a cure for the common cold.
They haven't cured cancer.
Right. That's real funny. But the truth is, why can't we? And I believe that. I haven't felt badly, I don't even think for a half an hour in terms of feeling ill in the last couple of years, ever since this whole thing got started. But nonetheless, it does seem like it's dissipating a little bit, and some of the restrictions and the parameters, the guidelines that people are operating under are being lessened. You don't have the mandates so much anymore. Kids aren't having to wear masks in local schools anyway. I don't know how it is in other states, but Florida was, let them bleed Ron DeSantis.
I don't know.
He is to governing what Steve Smoger was to refereeing boxing matches. Old double S out of New Jersey there, Smoger. You guys would know him if you saw him. I mean, the average guy probably isn't there. Hey, who the hell is he talking about? Steve Smoger. But Smoger, I actually spent some time with Steve Smoger a couple of times, shooting a breeze at various boxing matches that I was broadcasting, or sites where you were hanging out for a day or so before the matches took place, and you'd see Smoger. And he was a fabled New Jersey referee mostly, but became internationally known.
Oh, yeah.
And he would just let two guys, they could have their skulls crushed in. But with a sledgehammer in the third round, somebody could take a sledgehammer in the corner to both guys' heads, bleeding like a sieve, and they go, "Okay, guys, let's go. I'll let you know when we're going to stop it, but it doesn't look good. Let's go. Let's keep fighting." And that was old Ronnie D, man, the governor here in Florida. If you're not familiar with this guy, you're probably going to become familiar with him, because unless Trump runs again, is DeSantis not the favorite child of the Trumpsters that are out there that would love to see him come back somehow? Because it's not like Joe Biden's been overwhelmingly impressive. I would have to agree with that. I don't blame him for all of his stuff, much like, Trump wanted credit for everything that went well, and deflected all blame for anything that was atrocious. I don't want to mention that January 6th thing. Hey, Donnie, somebody make a phone call, huh? Right? Ivanka's in there screaming, "Come on, Dad. Come on, Dad. Do something."
Come on, Dad.
And he's there watching women's NCAA volleyball on TV while this is going on. Hey, you see this? Pretty good game, man. They're in the third set. But yeah, you were a crusader for social change and justice after the George Floyd thing. And we spent a lot of time on that, huh?
Yeah, it
all
was
those conversations. People say, you open up the conversation, Lubie, and that's like a good thing. And, Roger Goodell is kind of treading on that philosophy right now. And proliferating the idea that, well, you know what? Maybe Brian's got a point. After the he summarily dismissed the entire thing when it first came out. And then, at the Super Bowl, did you notice a little bit of a change tune there? Well, you know what? We don't have that many black head coaches.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps we failed in that area.
they're embracing it in a sense.
Yeah.
Look, first of all, remember it was COVID, so there was no games. So we grabbed on to anything good to talk about. Our shows were actually really good during that time. I still don't know what the fuck we talked about for, what was it,
we had a lot of interviews with interesting people. Yeah. I don't know that we really solved any of the problems of the world.
No.
I was more concerned about who I was picking in my golf pool. Betting, of course, can get you through any, long period of hard times. But I don't know that we're any further along. I mean, that opening clip where we talked about, hey, you shouldn't have to make this distinction. It's sad. It's true. I mean, it's 2022, people. What are we doing? You become more tolerant, though. And as I say that, it's funny because I'm in the shower, thinking about, well, what are we going to talk about here? Because we're transitioning a little bit out of football, although football very much in the news today, as it seems like it always is, right? Because now Tom Brady isn't going to really retire. People are saying speculation is running a little bit more rampant that Tom Brady is actually thinking about coming back, perhaps with another team besides the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Is that do you see that as a scenario that plays out? For some reason, everybody's entitled to a guess. We don't know what's going on with Tom Brady. It's not like I have a direct pipeline to Giselle. Hey, G, what do you think he's going to do? But some people are speculating that Brady was kind of driven into retirement there and having to make that announcement. I don't know if it was pressure from Jim Gray or the wife, but wherever it came from, he felt compelled to go ahead and make some kind of definitive statement that he was retiring, and that a lot of people believe, people that supposedly know the guy or are aware of whatever circumstances there are surrounding his retirement, that he's going to undo this thing and come back and maybe not do it as a Buccaneer. Is that possible? Do you see that?
40. Okay. I don't know. He's not.
The age doesn't seem to matter because, if you watch highlights of his last season,
he played great.
He made some great plays last year. I mean, he was no worse than any of these young gun quarterbacks at 44, and certainly playing with a lot more intuition into the game and having knowledge of virtually every situation. And let's face it, he spent 20 years with Belichick. So even if he didn't like Belichick or they became a little bit estranged as the years went by, and Bobby Kraft was like the liaison in the dynamic there, where otherwise they might have parted ways even sooner. You have a guy that I just saw some highlights of Brady last night. They were replaying that game against Buffalo that he won in overtime with the pass to Perryman. They're talking about the top 5 games of the year on ESPN, and that was one of them. It came in at number 4. And I'm watching the throws he's making. That they were spectacular. I mean, just zipping it in there and finding very small spots and windows of opportunity that were reminiscent of Danny Boy in the heyday, right? Where he would throw a ball into an impossible spot. It was the only place that it could possibly land where it would end up being a reception. And sure enough, as if he was shooting in a biathlon, boom, right on target. It's always weird when the guy misses, huh? When that little black circle comes up and you go, he missed it. Hey, Sven, he's out. How much biathlon is there actually in Olympic competition? I have not turned on a TV and seen anything but the biathlon at some point in time.
You talked about it last week, and so I'm like, I guess I missed it. Shirley and I were somewhere in the Olympics we're on. Oh, in our hotel this weekend, and I turned it on and the Olympics were there, and her and I'm like, why? Oh my God, is this the biathlon? Because it's someone in skis shooting a gun. And I'm like, this is the most awkward thing I've ever seen. They do the thing and then they stop and they shoot.
They stop and they start shooting. And you know what? The target is not 2 feet away.
Oh, it was a mission. I was like, what is
and you're freezing. I mean, the thing that's lost in watching these winter games is that the temperatures, because it kind of looks sunny and bright.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, how are they even sustaining and maintaining any level of reasonable snow to have this competition? But all I'm seeing is cross-country skiing, biathlon, and that slope stuff that they have with both skis and snowboards. Snowboard slope where, they go on the rail first as if they were on a skateboard somewhere, in Compton. Yeah. And then they come off of that, and then they do 3 jumps, some of which they're skiing backwards to get into as they go up these ramps, and then do 4 revolutions on skis. And the judges are actually critiquing them on whether or not they could grab the skis and then land perfectly. Who came up with this shit? Unbelievable. But is there anything else in the Olympic Games? I mean, they don't have any rhythmic gymnastics type of stuff. I mean, what would be the equivalent there? I guess pairs figure skating, rhythm dancing.
Yeah.
By the way, that thing escalated. And the reason I brought all of this up in the first place was because I was, giving my little dissertation there about how we should all live together in peace and harmony. And that's what we've been trying to espouse forever here and proliferate the whole idea that equality should not be something that we have to, drive ourselves to accept. It should just be accepted at this point, right?
Yes, you would think, yes.
And then I'm thinking, wow, I mean, the overexposure of Johnny Weir.
It still goes on now? Wow, that's crazy. It's been years.
Well, they're all over this thing with this Russian skater, the 15-year-old. I
That's
believe
stupid.
Paviana is her last name. Something like that. Anyway, she tests positive for a banned substance, some kind of heart medication, which I don't know. Wasn't that like Sharapova's thing?
Yep.
That she had some kind of heart medication that was supposedly a performance-enhancing drug, and everybody knew it except Maria.
Well, she used it for 2 years. You were supposed to use it for like a few months. It was like 3 years later. She was still using it.
11 years, she was using it since she met Nick Bollettieri, right?
It was like, Maria, like, hello.
As a 7-year-old. Yeah, I just kept taking it, it made me feel good. Unfortunately, that's what people are doing with OxyContin, which is another big story in the sports headlines today, and that is the trial there. This Tyler Skaggs that died when he was a member of the California, well, now, what are they? The Los Angeles Angels? Yeah. Los Angeles Angels. And the trial involves a guy named Eric Kay, who was in media relations, I believe, Lubie. And his relations mostly involved, like, passing out OxyContin and other drugs, which, they had Matt Harvey, and he was testifying at the trial under immunity. And he was talking about like he was Keith Hernandez, like how he was doing cocaine when he was with the Mets. And had these OxyContin pills that were being distributed by this guy and others in the Angels organization. And you're thinking, my God, what a sick mess.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, when that guy died, Tyler Skaggs, nobody like raised an eyebrow, right? Like a 28-year-old kid who's in perfect shape. And all of a sudden, he just checks out mysteriously while he's in a hotel room.
No, it was weird.
I remember, like, for the first 24 hours, nobody said anything about drugs.
Like, you didn't know. Like, we had no idea what the hell happened.
So many ugly aspects of sports. I thought they were going to put Johnny Weir on the sidelines, though, for the Super Bowl. If the Winter Olympics weren't on this year, you know that NBC having a Super Bowl would have had Tara Lipinski and Johnny Weir doing commentary on the Super Bowl. So anyway, apparently, I mean, the reason I bring this up is they were very upset. They were doing a commentary on the short program that was performed by this young Russian girl yesterday, and she aced it. Ended up in first place, and probably is going to go on and win the gold medal, but now it's going to be with an asterisk, the fabled asterisk, and all kinds of tentative conditions pending whether or not they decide later on to strip her of her medal. Like what difference does it make at that point, right? She's either skating or she's not. You either have a policy or you don't. If there's not a real valid reason why this woman tested positive for this performance-enhancing substance or a banned substance, then, guess what? She should be aced out of the thing, right?
Well, that's my thing is, like, how quickly did they find out, oh, this is fake? Like, it was weird. Like, usually once you fail, you're done. Like, maybe you find out later.
Not if you're Russian, right?
No, well, that's what I was going to say. It seems like the Russians get a pass in these weird-ass circumstances. Like,
they don't even have a real team there. They're not even Russian.
Because of this.
Yeah.
Because of getting popped for roids. The whole team. Like,
the whole team, yeah, nondescript. I mean, you wouldn't figure like a figure skater. A figure skater? That wasn't exactly the best way to express that. But you wouldn't necessarily count on a figure skater to be the first one. And so far, I mean, as far as I know, was anybody else sent home because of steroid or performance-enhancing drug use? That they sent those girls home because of the baggy pants they had. Which it's amazing that those women were eliminated from the snowboarding competition. Which just let them go down the mountain. Huh? Who cares if their pants are baggy? That's the style.
That's cheating, but using roids is okay.
Well, whatever this was, supposedly helping this woman's performance, she was more than okay. At least the committee was more than okay with her, and the International Doping Association, whoever they are, like the IDA. What is it?
I don't know.
It's United Doping Association, whatever the heck it is.
I know what you're talking about.
I mean, less effective and impactful and consistent than the NCAA was, when they somehow never found a single violation in the entire career of Nick Saban's recruiting the top people every year, wherever he happened to be. Didn't matter where he was. Nick Saban always getting the best players. Somehow he did that while everybody else was cheating. Nick was clean.
Yes, he's clean. 100%.
Ohio State, the same thing. Notre Dame, the same thing. Never sanctioned, right?
Only the small.
They did it all legitimately, right? Never mind that as part of the payoff for getting all of those Cincinnati Moeller players, they had to give just a straight-up unqualified clown, Jerry Faust. I don't want to label him a clown, right? Did he not do well when he went to Akron? I mean, it was just the job was too much. The guy was coming from high school. He's going to coach Notre Dame, huh?
It's a lot.
Thank you, Jimmy Johnson, for driving that thing to an end with that running up at the score there while Ara Parsegian was screaming in the booth. Can you believe this guy, this Johnson? We're going to have to ask Jimmy about that when we get down there to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. All right, later on in the program, we're going to talk to Tony Segreto. We're going to go old school. Tony's already kind of checked in with us earlier this morning, and he looks great and sounds great today. So anxious to hear what Tony has to say. But let's put a few things out there, Lubie, before we move into the next segment here on the program. All right. So do you believe that Tom Brady will return to the NFL this year? Tom Brady will return to the NFL.
He's not even going to miss a year.
He's not going to sit out a year and come back. He's either the speculation is getting more and more stronger in the direction that there are a number of people that supposedly would have some clue as to what might transpire. People that were close to Brady or knew him from the Patriots organization, so-called insiders, not like Lockenforer and Schefter and Rappaport and those type of guys, our man Jason Cole. I don't know that they're fueling this speculation. It's coming from somewhere else. Now, it could be just some online, stuff that is filling space there on CBS Sportsline or whatever source that you're looking at. But what you will find this story virtually everywhere.
Yeah.
That there are people that believe that Tom Brady will come back. I can't picture it, so it'll probably happen. I don't know. I mean, come back. I don't think he does that, and I really don't think he comes back as a member of another team. Do you?
Possum in our chat brought up the Niners, and that's one he's flirted with because he's a Bay Area guy. He grew up idolizing.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
And and Jimmy G was the guy that he got out of town, and the Patriots wanted to keep, and Jimmy G just turned himself into being average to bad. So if he can come in, the Niners went to the NFC Championship with no quarterback. If he can go in there, they have a great roster and go and win a Super Bowl for his hometown team. He doesn't need to add to the lore. They're now calling him the best player ever, not just the best quarterback. So it's just him playing, but it's just another notch to separate him from the rest of the NFL world for history. I don't know. I don't think it's about proving things anymore for him. He just loves playing football, but he's a Bay Area guy.
Could the Niners not be a factor with better quarterback play?
Yeah, they were in the NFC Championship.
Yeah,
definitely. That's what
makes
they're
some
missing.
sense, actually. That was a good one, Lubie. So you have Brady going to San Francisco. All right, that's proposition number one here on the Defo Show on Iron Channel.
Trey Lance really 1 year, was that enough for him to lead? Because they're not rebuilding. They need a quarterback now. Trey Lance will be the quarterback of the future.
They might have been playing Trey Lance already because Garoppolo was suspect, even though he was injured.
Yep, and
he wasn't necessarily a great asset to the San Francisco offense, except the coach there, Kyle Shanahan, and whoever else was making this decision thought that he was far better of an option than Trey Lance, even with a bum shoulder and a broken thumb.
Yep, honestly.
So that doesn't speak volumes about the idea that Trey Lance is ready to insert himself into the starting lineup right now. I mean, do you think Fields in Chicago is ready to just take this team to another level? It didn't look that way.
Oh, they're going to be. He's young. They're going to be young, and it's going to take them a year or two to figure it out. That's the problem for the Niners is they have a roster ready to win now and a quarterback who's not. And Brady's old enough where he's not the quarterback of the future. So that's actually a perfect combination.
A 1 year Brady, San Fran? Wow, Lubie, you might be onto something.
Possum, I'm giving him credit. He brought it up, and it's just we've heard that before, that he flirted with the Niners before, but because of Garoppolo, and not Lance, but because of Garoppolo, they sort of stayed away from Brady. So it seems like, it's about right, actually.
All right, and speculation has already, been driven in social media and online that Aaron Rodgers will return and not as a Packer. So where he ends up, everybody always points to Denver on that one. Now Aaron Rodgers would be good on a one and done in San Francisco if they could figure out a way to work that out. Would it not?
Yep.
Put San Francisco very much as one of the favorites here. So that leads me to this. You sick, degenerate bastards out there.
Okay.
All right, so if Brady or Aaron Rodgers somehow ended up at San Francisco, you would immediately have to say they were among the favorites
Yes.
to win the Super Bowl next year. And yet you could probably get that proposition right now, Mr. Anticipation.
That'd be the move, yeah.
At huge odds.
Yeah.
And the minute it becomes known that, and in all likelihood, neither of those scenarios will play out. Rodgers or Brady probably will not be calling signals for the San Francisco 49ers last year, just as an example. I mean, they could be somewhere else, but Rodgers' insertion into any lineup puts any team that's close. I don't think he's going to go to a dog of a team, do you?
No.
But if you could guess where he's going to go,
yeah,
if you had inside information,
yep,
you might be able to benefit greatly from putting a couple of sticks on that team to win the Super Bowl next year. No?
Yeah, that would be the move, is to narrow it down to like the 3 teams that are possible for Rodgers. Because again, you've heard Niners, you've heard Broncos. Last year, I think they're going to just stick with Fields. So like, if you just put, okay, he either's going to go to the Broncos or the Niners, so let's put money down. Like I can see them doing, people doing something like that just as a hedge to just in case. Or the Packers, because you may see with the Packers. I mean, they actually have a really good roster too.
Why do I find it odd watching Johnny Weir doing other sports? The best thing with Johnny Weir was when he was fishing. Do you remember this little clip they had? Like, Johnny Weir goes out and about in wherever. What was the name of the city? I can't even pronounce it. Where they had the 2018 games. Where was that? In Korea? Where the hell was that? It was like Pyongyang or something. I don't know. It sounded like something literally that you would offer off, order off a menu at the Peking Duck House, right? I'll have the Pyongyang. And anyway, what's that? Pyeongchang or something? Pyeongchang. Anyway, and they had Johnny Weir like at the side of what looked to be a very rough body of water. And I don't know if it was like the Baltic Sea. I'm not, geographically sound enough to speculate as to what body of water this was. But it looked rough. It looked like something that even Clooney might have said, hey, listen, maybe we take a pass on the sword fishing today in a perfect storm. And he's fishing and he catches something while he's wearing like this giant fur coat. And you know how it is when you're fishing. What's the first thing you want to do? I mean, a lot of guys in Florida, it's probably stupid to say this because we have some real hardcore fishermen out there that they catch the fish and they gut it right there while it's on the hook.
Yep.
Right there, man.
Yep.
Okay, here's your 2 fillets. Throw them in a box.
Yeah. So
they're not inclined to like immediately want to get the smell of the fish off their hands, which you would think maybe that might be in the MO of Johnny Weir. And I was waiting for him to wipe his hands on the fur coat after, he's got this fish, like a tiny little fish that he caught off the shore there while they were doing some kind of feature with Johnny Weir on the Olympic Games. But I wouldn't have been surprised. I wouldn't have put it past NBC to put him in there on the sidelines. They know Tafoya's exiting, right? She's going into some kind of right-wing politics. I mean, what an oddball choice for somebody in the sports department, huh? Right-wing politics. She's off to like the CDC or one of those things where, they're goose stepping all the way behind Donald Trump as he says, you know what? We're going to wipe out poverty by getting rid of all the poor people.
Exactly.
That's one way to do it. We're very socially,
You've been driven
issue-oriented today, are we not, Mike Lubitz? As we kind of pull our heads out of the NFL, we still couldn't get out of it. I watched a lot of Miami Heat game last night. They lost to Dallas.
That's Mike the first time I've watched all year. Really, I've watched moments in it, but I watched pretty much the entire game, and they were killing it for 2.5 quarters. And then I don't know what the hell happened the last quarter and a half.
Oh, my God. Statistics are horrible, and it gets back to the thing about the three-point shot has invigorated interest in the game, it seems, and at the same time, it's horrible to watch. The Heat went 1 for 14 in the second half on three-point attempts. 1 for 14. These are professional basketball players, Lubie. 1 for 14. I mean, who wants to watch that? That's just pure, utter, unadulterated dreck. You could go to a game, a peewee basketball game, and it's likely that some little kid, hey, Junior, go ahead, hoist it up there, throws like a Jerry Lucas type hook shot from 22 feet away, and it goes in. It's possible out of 15 shots that are taken in a game. 1 for 14 in the second half, and they shot like some atrocious number from the field in addition to that. Well, and that comprised most of their shots. Ugliness. But they had won 5 in a row, and they still sit there atop the Eastern Conference in a dead heat now, I think, record-wise, with the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah. I think
I don't know. I mean, do they not need Zach LaVine, the Chicago Bulls? And when did DeMar DeRozan turn into this monster? He was always good.
Yes. He was never great.
I mean, he's playing like Kawhi Leonard at this point with the Chicago Bulls. When Kawhi Leonard was leading San Antonio, and you thought, wow, does this guy ever miss? Look at these circus shots. Yep. Incredible. So, no, that's been interesting. So they're tied with Chicago in the East. Most people feel that Milwaukee will somehow find a way to gather themselves and mow everybody down.
Yes.
The Brooklyn Nets, I think, appear to be out of it, right? I mean, the restrictions might be lifted in New York, so it's possible that Kyrie Irving finishes out the season in there. Kevin Durant, we don't know his status, injured, and always in and out of the lineup with a variety of different ailments and injuries. And now you have Ben Simmons, who says, yeah, I'm real happy to be here, which is good. I don't know. I hope he does well. He seemed like a player that you would enjoy watching. Well, one of the few guys in the NBA that doesn't necessarily chuck the ball every time because he's reluctant to shoot.
He's scared.
And plays defense.
He plays great defense. He rebounds and he facilitates. That's literally what he's
a good passer. I mean, he's an artistic passer, not quite Magic, but
if the dude, like, if it was a different era, he would be a top 5 or 10 player in the league. Like, people forget that he's an elite defender. He's a top 5 defender in the league. He's a great rebounder for a guy who's a guard. He has LeBron-like vision and great handle. He just doesn't shoot. And in this day and age, if your guards don't shoot, you can just, it changes everything that teams do defensively and what you can do offensively. Like, the dude's
a liability at the end of games. I mean, here you have this great defender, but what are you going to do? Call timeouts every change of possession so you can put him on the defensive end because you don't want him on the floor shooting free throws.
No.
Which, that's a giant Achilles heel. I mean, it's something that has been exploited, and we've seen him go to the line. And look, I don't know, did that drive him partially into this funk? You would think so. I mean, it seemed like they were trying to encourage him in Philadelphia to be a good player, and that play will always haunt him. When you look weak and you look like somebody that doesn't want to go ahead and so-called grab the brass ring or rise to the occasion, but when he dumped off that pass in that playoff game, at the end of the game, remember, he was inside, and it looked like he could just go up and dunk the ball even.
Yep.
And instead, he made like a wimp move, and it wasn't like he had anybody really coming to pressure him. He just had already decided he wasn't going to take this shot. You know, even if you're going to brick it, you pretty much have to take it, don't you, to maintain what's going on inside the rhythm of the game? You don't want to all of a sudden throw some underhanded dish to a guy who's not expecting a pass to come.
No.
And, that play will kind of haunt him like the play where A-Rod tried to slap the ball out of the first baseman's hand.
Versus the Red Sox, yeah.
I don't want to say like a little girl because that's offensive to women. And we don't mean to be derisive to women here. We're fair to everybody.
I would say like a jerk-off is what I would say.
Why was I being judgmental about Johnny Ware, though? I mean,
it's just throw him in the weirdest places. Like, it's not like
look, he's at the Kentucky Derby handicapping horses. I mean,
that's my thing. Look, we've learned that
talking to Baffert.
You do look. Ed Olczyk was a former hockey player who did hockey, but really knew horse racing. So when they would put him on horse racing, it worked because that guy knew horse racing.
He was picking winners too, right and left winners.
Exactly. Johnny Weir is uncomfortable in these plays. Like, he doesn't know anything. He doesn't reference. It's like when you do Mauro Ranallo, the only reason you have issues with him doing boxing is because he doesn't know boxing terms. He just wants to make it MMA. And it's like, dude, they're not the same thing. And it's blatant.
Too much overhyped screaming.
Yeah, that's not boxing.
I guess, the networks like that. I mean, Showtime and CBS, they were in love with Gus Johnson. And, what did he do? I mean, he just started screaming right away at the beginning of the ball game. And that's very much in vogue. Screaming and over-technical analysis have taken over for, being a great communicator and storyteller. And somebody that can actually illustrate what's going on in a game in simpler terms than constantly trying to show you how much they know about football. And it's almost Jay Billis syndrome, right? Where you feel like, and Phil Mushnick always points this out, that there are certain guys that you feel like they're just talking down to you because you don't know as much about it as they do. And that's not the way to communicate if you're on a broadcast. You would think that they would just be revolting to the network executives, but that's what they love, Unfortunately, I mean, the screaming. And Ranallo, if you listen to any highlight off of Showtime, I mean, there are some exciting moments that maybe call for, kind of rising out of your chair a little bit and getting off the, same, wavelength in terms of decibel level and communication, emotion. A guy gets knocked down, you don't want to say, and there it is. There's the knockout.
Yeah, but not every jab deserves the same reaction.
Right. Well, and then when everything is the same, like a guy throws one jab that misses by a mile, he throws not even a rangefinder, just happens to flick a punch because they've been dancing around for the first 20 seconds of the fight, and Ranallo will start screaming, "There he is, trying to establish the jab." And it's like it's a cliche, and maybe people that aren't big fans of boxing or get into dissecting boxing announcing, which it's two guys beating the shit out of each other.
It's not science.
Yeah, I mean it can be, I guess. People trying to make it that, but football they've really tried to over sophisticate. Have they not?
Yes.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's football, but that's my problem with Weir is they force him in places because he gets people like us to talk about him, and I think that's a little weird. I think that's a little
weird. Is a key word there. Yeah, as it just put a D on the end of this guy's name. But what is? I mean, look. Can you even call them like alternative lifestyles at this point? Everybody should just do their own thing. I'm a firm believer in that. So I have no objection whatsoever to Johnny Weir going out and doing everything that he possibly can to enjoy himself. He seems to be having a great time. He does. And he's very, very equipped. You would have to think that he certainly has the qualifications to be a commentator on figure skating.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was a top figure skater. I mean, I think he won medals in 2 different Olympic Games, Johnny Weir, or came close to it. He was a contender. He may not have won, but he was a contender in a couple of different Olympic Games and very, accomplished as a figure skater. So you would think his insights into the whole psychology of it, which seems to be the big thing, right? Because what other sport do you come off the field and before you even know what the result is, you immediately start crying? With 2 people holding your hands like you were about to be sentenced to death, Unbelievable. Well, you never know with the French judge. It might be death. Olympics, though, have to be the most crooked thing. The snowboarders were all complaining, Lubie, about the scoring. How inconsistent it is. I mean, as if NFL officials had suddenly taken over the scoring. and how do you differentiate? Like a guy gets a 75.8 and the other guy gets an 81.2 while they're doing like quadruple somersaults on skis in 12 below temperatures with the wind blowing in their face. And then they're critical of them because they don't grab the ski and hold on to it until they landed. Just missing landing and crushing the fingers on their hand. There's a lot of sadomasochism in that Winter Games. You think it was invented by the Marquis de Sade? Who came up with this idea?
Yeah, every sport looks like if you do the wrong thing, you may die. Like just to do it, not even to like be great at it, just do it. It's like, where do they come up with this crap? Like, I don't know. I don't understand half the sports and how they even put them together.
It's surprising they don't have these guys. They're skiing uphill, and it's surprising after that they don't get so delusional from being out there, risking frostbite, and that they don't start shooting each other. Hey, Norse, right? There you go. You're out of the competition. Now I'm going to get to go home. The sadistic Olympic Winter Olympic Games. Anyway, they're ongoing. I don't know what else there is going on. Every now and then you'll see somebody going down that pipeline there on a sled, but it's mostly been cross-country skiing, which also involves biathlon and Nordic combined, and they have transgender relay long-distance cross-country skiing today. I mean, what else can they do around that one little course there? It's crazy, and it's gotten to the point where the ski grooves are so deep that there's no place out. You have to just be in the grooves of previous skiers because they're like 6 feet deep now in the snow, and anywhere else you're kind of on your own. It's like you just ran into an avalanche in the wrong direction. Well, I guess there's no good way to run into an avalanche. All right, well, we have an avalanche of stuff to do in the show here. Tony Segreto is going to go old school with us. Interesting, though, all of this speculation that's come out of the NFL, and more speculation, more gasoline on the fire, Lubie, of this whole McVay is going to just quit the game.
Yeah, he won't commit to
even stronger sentiments about that coming out today. Probably won't happen. I don't know. I mean, this is where you, as a sportscaster, become a qualified guesser.
Yeah, yes. We're psychologists. We look at his eyes and like, oh,
no, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I mean, the logic, it would make some sense either way. It really would.
More money to do less work. What human wouldn't want that? So, like that.
Now, look at us. We haven't got the more money part yet, but we're certainly doing a little. I mean, I don't know that we're doing less work, Lubie. It seems like the same workload to me.
I'm working harder, and I presume you are too. But that's fine. Well, I don't. But that's the thing. Like if we had a choice to make more and do less, I feel like we would take that choice. So, I don't know what the hell's gonna happen with McVay. I feel like he's got to come back this year, and then I can see maybe a year or two down the road calling it quits. Because again, look, I was talking to the professor last night, and he's not wrong. John Madden had a very similar career where he was hired really young, had a lot of success really young, and have a family and was like, you know what, I don't need to do this. And then the broadcasting and then the Madden football game hit, and he never needed to go back. Like McVay may be that. Like he seems to be the guy that eats, sleeps, and drinks football. But now, like you said, he has this Russian supermodel. Things can change your perspective very quickly.
We need to get a hold of the Visser mama, Leslie Visser, and see how that thing went with John Madden. She was one of the speakers at the Madden tribute that they had. I believe it took place in the old Oakland Alameda Coliseum, if that still exists.
I think so.
So, and it was covered. I saw some media coverage of it, and it's funny too because they had a shot of the stage there where obviously the people were seated that were going to be speaking, and it was just a glimpse of it I saw, and I was looking for Leslie. I didn't see her there, but I'd like to see how that went. Madden, interesting, in reading some of the, bios that they had, postscripts to Madden's great life after he checked out earlier this year, which, man, Lubie, do I have, no luck? My timing is awful, huh? I had Madden in the Deadpool. Somebody hit it with somebody else, so you redraw. I no longer had Madden. Gone. I had Betty White in the Deadpool. Somebody hit it with somebody else. A couple of months later, whoosh, Betty White, gone. Just short of 100 years old. I had Meatloaf in the Deadpool. Remember? You laughed at me.
I actually had Meatloaf. Oh, wow.
I had Meatloaf in the Deadpool. Somebody hit it with somebody else. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, he's gone. And now, who do I have? Terry Bradshaw. He's on everything. The only guy that's on more commercials than Terry Bradshaw, it might be the comedian, what is it, Kevin Hart?
Yeah, he's on.
And Peyton Manning. That's it. Those are the only three. And Serena now is selling everything. Yeah, Serena will sell everything from a tuna sandwich to a Lincoln. I mean, it's crazy. I'm a big admirer of Serena's tennis. Make no mistake. But, she seemed like a real asshole when she was on the court. Did she not?
Yep.
That whole phony graciousness. I mean, people don't like phonies. Just be who you are. If you're some hardcore jerk, be a hardcore jerk. It's okay, right? They love Kyrgios, right? Hardcore jerk.
Yep.
Real showman. The Australians, they love him, man. You would think he was Johnny McEnroe going out there trying to beat Jimmy Connors in the U.S. Open. The way that they relate to him. No, just absolutely fantastic love for this man. But the Serena thing as a salesperson, I don't know. I guess she's so recognizable. Is that it?
Everyone knows who Serena. You say the name Serena, and you know who we're all talking about.
Not that she doesn't deserve all of the riches that come along with the success of being. You could make a case she was the greatest female athlete of all time. Is that possible in terms of accomplishment?
Probably. I don't even know another. Babe, you always bring a Babe Didrikson Zaharias, but that's how far back you have to go to. Martina doesn't get enough credit. Martina sort of gets forgotten because I think she played in probably an elite level of era when she was there, and she was the best in that era. So it's she should get a lot more credit. But what Serena did was revolutionize the game. She took what Martina did, because you brought Martina was a little more aggressive than the woman that played, and Serena just blew it out the water. She just was ferocious.
Martina, is someone, that would come in to say women's basketball and just dominate.
Yes.
And, set the pace there with a different style, very aggressive style. They used to kind of do the, I'll say, old chap, how are your finances doing? That old commercial for Smith Barney where they're just lobbing shots. Moonballs were big back then. Remember the moonball?
Yep.
You don't see that anymore. I mean, those women smacked the living daylights out of the ball. I'm going to go see these pro matches on Thursday night, tomorrow night.
Oh, very nice.
With Mike Mayo. Yeah, he's got that meatballs and tennis balls thing going in Delray Beach. And the Delray Tennis Center, for those unfamiliar that are watching from, outside of the area here in South Florida where we're broadcasting from, small little intimate place. You don't get in that tournament. It's kind of a little bit of a prelude. I guess it's well in advance here of the Miami Open, which, could be considered, I don't know, is it a fifth Grand Slam event, the Miami Open?
It used to be. I don't know if they still do it, but it always was. I mean, we've gone, they get really good talent there. They get the top.
All the top people are in there, yeah, everybody, and it's a huge draw. So, a lot of people consider it, they have Indian Wells out there in Palm Springs,
right there.
And that gets a good draw. And then the Miami Open, as it's known now, from its inception, it was drawing just incredible fields, and, it was always great competition, and a lot of people thought, well, and it was kind of a prelude, too, to the spring events, the French Open and Wimbledon, or summer events that would comprise two legs of the Grand Slam, which, shortly after there in the fall, you have the U.S. Open. But, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be up there in Delray Beach tomorrow night, and we talked to one of the chefs that's making a meatball. She's making some kind of Asian chicken meatball, which, I mean, so there's a little variety going in there. And they have guys in the tournament. I don't know if they're still – I think Max Cressy got eliminated in this thing already. But that guy, that 6'11" guy that looks like John Isner, Riley Opelka, an American, Harvey was talking about it yesterday. Not necessarily top flight, but you watch these guys hammering the ball from that kind of intimate setting there where it's a small grandstand court, and it's great. So I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be tomorrow night. Now, something that you can always look forward to is heading to Hialeah Park. It's just absolutely dynamite what goes on there on a daily basis, man. I mean, incredible. Hialeah Park, one of our favorite places, one of the great stops on the tour, and of course, so longtime backers of everything that we've done. Yes, so we couldn't be any more appreciative, and yet we couldn't be any more sincere. It's a great, great place, people. The casino is, it's right up there with any casino that you could walk into anywhere in the United States. Anyway, I don't know how it compares with casinos in Europe, but I'm assuming there are a lot of smelly people there wearing weird clothing. There I go again. I don't know if Johnny wears smells. He probably smells pretty good. Probably smells like a bouquet of flowers. Nah, this is not good. I'm sorry, people. Scratch that from the record right away.
You smell.
I had nothing by that. I said he probably smells pretty good. I don't want to put him in the category of some stinking Euro trash that's busted out there and is trying to get a marker at the casino when he doesn't own the shirt on his back.
But Hialeah, they don't smell.
You won't find those kind of people in Hialeah Park, that's for sure. So I'm going to say they compare very favorably with all casinos around the world.
There you go.
It's great. And Steve Calabro is a brilliant man and well-respected in the gaming industry. Everybody, I'm amazed that, you talk about getting offers from virtually everybody. I mean, Calabro has to be approached like daily from other people in the gaming business. Hey, how about Monte Carlo, Steve? Does that interest you? Yeah, you could be the GM. But he is the guy that's been running a casino there for a long time. I want to say probably since its inception also, which is going on about 8 years now. Hialeah Park, just a great place to play. They do all kinds of great things. They want the clientele there, the customers, the people that come visit, come through the doors to feel like they're having a great entertainment experience. And so they offer food and drink at ridiculously reasonable prices for any place, any establishment of this type. And then you can bet the ponies, which I like. And you can kind of sneak in bets in different locations there, too. Like Mustang says, hey, let's go to the casino. And I can sneak away. And there's still like a couple of machines and screens where you can bet the ponies. But I like being in the champion simulcasting room. And any poker player, including our good friend NASCAR Roger, can attest to the fact that the poker room there is just absolutely great. So you're going to love it. All the different aspects of casino and gaming play right there for you. You get a player's card when you come through the door. They treat you to a lot of new stuff and freebie stuff that can get you started in just a wild and winning fashion. You're going to love your experience at Hialeah Park. We always do, and we recommend you check out the website for the calendar of events at beautiful Hialeah Park. It's hialeahpark.com. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment here. We're really just getting started, Lubie, and we're like an hour into the show. So I kind of like this. I don't know if the people like this out there. You think the people that are, saying you should follow more of the tenets of broadcasting are screaming, Lubie? What do you think?
They always have, but we've
49-minute segments. I mean, what the hell is that? I think we touched on virtually everything, including insulting people that we had no intention of bringing into the conversation, except that I thought, wow, why wasn't Johnny Ware on the sideline on the Super Bowl? Kind of getting a leg up on replacing Michelle Tafoya there, because that would obviously have to be next, unless he gets the gig on Monday Night Football with ESPN, right? They get Al Michaels to leave NBC. They sign on a surprise move, Monday Night Football. And Michaels embraces the fact that his color analyst will be Johnny Ware, who probably would be more entertaining than most of the guys that they've had in there that were trying to get so serious about everything. Huh?
Can't be better than
oh, my God.
Can't be worse than Greasy. It's got to be at least worthwhile. At least he'll make his presence felt.
This is not going to be a popular statement, but I believe as broadcasters, both Greasies got a complete free pass. In terms of, having, I mean, Bob Greasy was hailed as a genius broadcaster, but I don't know. Did he ever say anything that you remember? Nothing.
Not really. I liked when he did college football years ago. It was Paul Aguirre.
Yeah, I mean, he was considered one of the best in the game, Bob Greasy.
I don't know if he was great, but I liked him. He was fine. And then as he got older, as it happens to most people,
Well, stop looking at me when you're saying that, Lubie, please.
You haven't gotten there. That's what's great. Is you don't struggle like you think you struggle. Greasy.
Oh, no, I definitely do, man. It took me 5 seconds last night to think of Ovechkin's first name, right? Because Sidney Crosby got his 500th career goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh, nice. Jesus.
And that made him one of two active players in the NHL with 500 goals or more, okay? Two active players. Now, guys have had way more than that. I mean, I don't think it's approaching anywhere near the all-time record yet. But nonetheless, I mean, it might be eclipsable by, I don't know about Crosby. He's been playing 17 years. Can you believe that? 17 or 18 years. Sidney Crosby.
Been around that long. That's weird. That's nuts.
They showed his first goal, and now he got his 500th last night. The Penguins winning in overtime in their game. And, so you're thinking, okay, obviously the other guy with 500 goals has to be Ovechkin, right? Who else could it be? Who else?
I don't know.
Who are you going to give me?
No, who else has been around that long? It's got to be Ovechkin.
Malkin? I don't know.
Malkin's hasn't been around. It's Ovechkin came in around the same time as Crosby and has been killing. It's killed it his entire career.
All right, so this is what happens when you're not taking Prevagen, and your mind is starting to kind of Jerry Quarry out, and you're thinking, "Wow, how many times did I get hit in the head during the course of these 70-plus years?" And it took me. Fortunately, it came to me quickly because it's really starting to frustrate me when I can't think of like an obvious person's name.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're standing in a camera now, so it's not like you got like a bunch of notes here, written on a piece of paper and you've got every name there. But it took me a couple of seconds to come up with Alexander.
Alexander
Ovechkin. So, there you go. I mean, that doesn't happen to you? Are you already blanking on names?
That's why you make it an age thing. I'm like, then I don't know what that says about me because I do that all the time. I forget names all the time.
Like, yes, I meet somebody, they introduce themselves, and I can't remember their name as we say, "Hey, nice meeting you." Right?
Exactly.
Unbelievable. Look how long it took me to master Jack Namer's name. First 5 shows. I mean, if you go back, I call this guy, everything from Jack Nomar to Joe Friday on the program. And we love the guy. He's a big believer in what we're doing, which is great. All right. Speaking of belief, Tony Segredo is going to make you a believer, man. Tony's great.
Yes.
And so I'm curious to see. I believe he liked the Bengals with the points in the Super Bowl. Now, knowing Tony and that bookmaker that he deals with, who somehow, I mean, Tony must have pictures of this guy. Well, if Tony ever goes states on whoever's booking his bets, he's never going to get these favorable lines again. But he was probably getting 7 with the Bengals, so he was in pretty good shape once the second half got underway. Because it did look to me in the first half like the Rams were going to just go ahead and continue to dominate the game. They hadn't even gotten a Burrow yet. They were in the lead early on. It looked like they were going to build a big lead. The Beckham injury, everybody's pointing to that. You would think that they would be able to find a way to overcome that, which they ultimately did, but by the slimmest of margins or close to it, right? The way the dynamic of the scoreboard was playing out. They were going to win that game by 3 points or lose it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they were going to lose by. They couldn't afford to go for a field goal there. They were down 4 points, which, I don't know. See, you can't say this anymore, that you want to kill a kicker.
No, you can't say things like that.
No. You don't want to advocate any
well,
kind
that's
of
the point. He sucked. It actually would have worked out.
Figuratively, wouldn't you want to just choke that guy?
Yeah, because they would have settled for a field goal, you think. You go to overtime, and if they get a touchdown in overtime, then the Rams cover. Once that guy missed that freaking extra point, there was really no shot at the Rams covering. Once they got the lead, they weren't going to try and score again.
See, and this is what's great about being a degenerate, Lubie, and you're starting to, sort of understand at least the psychological destruction that you do to yourself, because you're reconstructing games based on some incident that happened at the very beginning of the ball game, trying to figure out if there was any way that you could have covered the point spread with the team that you've so faithfully backed with not only your credibility as an on-air performer, but also with your own hard-earned cash. Amazing.
Honestly.
McVay calling that timeout, though, was a stroke of genius. I don't know if Tony got down on that. I went away from my instincts. The professor was so brilliant with that thing that he did about the over-unders on the anthem, which you can check the archives there. It's from this past Friday's show, Degenerate Friday, and I thought it was brilliant. Honestly, I've been doing this 40-some-odd years, and that was one of the funniest segments I've ever been a part of.
That was hysterical.
Even if we were just like watching this guy, ramble away and just condemn virtually every performer that ever walked the stage.
But it was hysterical and it was spot on. His research was spot on. The problem is that, and I talked with him last night about this. I'm like, and it's what I texted you. The minute you saw the choir, like, oh, she's going off the board. Oh no. Like, she's never used anything like this. She's relishing the moment. She's not going to relish the moment to go less. And that was the fear that you sort of had, was it's a Super Bowl
accompaniment. Yes.
If they come out with a guitar or a piano, well, she came out with a freaking choir.
Toast, yeah. But remember, I was a huge advocate of the over on the anthem under any circumstances, because of the fact that that no matter what a person has done before, unless they forget a verse like Robert Goulet did at the Ali Liston fight in Lewiston, Maine, unless they just leave out a verse. Now, if they don't leave out, if they leave out a verse and realize it and then stop in stunned disbelief that they can't remember the song,
they're going to go back.
Now you're fucked. I mean, you're just flat out fucked. That's the only way to put it. I hate to use this kind of offensive language early in the morning. We know the old thing, and that's always in my head, right? Because some program director stuck it in your head like at a very early stage of your broadcasting career, which is, you know what? If you're doing morning drive radio or TV, whatever you're doing, little kids are watching or listening on their way to school with their dads. Little kids. Now I get people that say, their grandfather used to listen to me.
Not even dad.
That they're big fans. Skip a whole generation. God. What a drag it is getting old. So you don't have these memory lapses now on identifying people.
I do.
Identifying famous people. I can't remember who the hell they are.
I do all the time. And that's why I'm like, I don't think it's an age thing. I think it's just a life thing. We have a lot of stuff going on in our heads. Your recall's good for someone who swears he's getting old. Your recall's on it. Like, I never think of you as a 70-year-old. Like, I think of you as just Defo.
As a 69-and-a-half-year-old.
As a crazy degenerate is what I think of.
Yeah.
But I think of you as an old man.
I think it's kept me alive, though. I think the spirit of degeneracy, we worship at Our Lady of Paramutual virtually every day. And, that's a Gurgles thing. He came up with, it's an old standard there, Our Lady of Paramutual Church and Congregation. And I do think it either is going to take years off your life or add years to your life. What do you think, Lubie? Because I'm not satisfied, and I won't be. I do believe at some point in time, I have this fantasy of hitting a Las Vegas progressive slot machine jackpot, just while I'm sitting down waiting for the Mustang to come down, all frustrated that we have a reservation somewhere at 7:30 and it's 8 o'clock and she hasn't started getting ready yet. So you figure, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to destroy the rest of our finances here in the slot machines while I wait for you to come down the elevator and go, I'm ready, dear. The Wayne Newton show is already over, man, and he started at 11.
So what you're saying, that's my favorite part, is when they're late and then they act like it's not a big deal. Like,
no,
you're gonna be late. It's fine, I guess.
No, that it was your fault because you didn't start the car. Yeah.
Rush. No, Shirley will go, hey, babe. I'm like, We're an hour late, goddammit. Like, what are you, like, how are you so cool and calm when we're an hour late? Like, what?
Anyways, I'm one of those guys, too. When I want to leave, I want to leave. I don't know if that's part of being in a business that's very time-oriented.
Yes.
Because, unfortunately, if you're in this racket, you do have time in your head almost constantly. Like, I got to get up this time, and, I got to be ready by now. Got to be in the shower by this time. I got to be here. I got to be there. I guess it's not uncommon in any business, but it seems like you and I don't know if you're this way, but I know I am, and I don't like it. That I'm constantly figuring out times and what I need to be doing in my head.
Always. Shirley's like, last night I was like, yeah, we got to go. And she's like, how the hell did you know there was 4 minutes left? I'm like, I've been doing this.
Like, no, you definitely develop a sense of timing, which, we have just completely crushed here.
Ruined.
By doing a 20-minute exit from when we actually were going to play a couple of very important commercial messages for you. All right, we do have some important ones coming up, including Texas Roadhouse, Catholic Health Services. And speaking of services, we get the services and the wisdom and the insight and the storytelling expertise of the great Tony Segreto. That's coming up next here on the Defo Show. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubitz. Thanks for staying with us, people. I really appreciate that. Google the Defo Show, and you can find the archives of all of the shows that we've done so far here on Ion Channel. It's great to be here. A lot of things in the fire there, so it's looking very, very promising here that we will come through with our promise that 2022 is going to be our year, Libby.
There you go.
If it isn't, there probably won't be a 2023.
There won't be a 23, exactly.
All right, back with Tony and a little old school in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:01.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going?
Well, once again, everybody, great to be with you here on Ion Channel, the Defo Show. I'm Jeff Deforrest, along with Mike Lubitz, and I would imagine he was the only one in the country that was getting 7 or 8 points with the Cincinnati Bengals in
12.
the Super Bowl.
I got 12. 12 points. 12 points.
What do you have on this guy, Tony? Tony Segreto joins us here on the show to go old school, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and Catholic Health Services. What do you know about this guy? I mean, have you threatened to go state's evidence?
But I have to listen. I have to share something with you. I have never shared this with anybody publicly. I have never shared this publicly. My family knows this story. So you just used the F word. You just dropped the F bomb, right?
Yes,
I didn't really mean to, but it fit the
conversation.
Yeah,
you did. You've done it a bunch of times. First of all,
how I think I'm under tight restraint here, Tony.
Is the sound better today, Lubie? This
sounds great.
Okay, good.
Well, you put a microphone in front of you.
Well, I had one the other day, but it in the long.
You don't like it? I mean, it's kind of a phallic symbol microphone there. Where did you get that thing, man?
Well, what do you have? What do you have?
I got this thing stuck in my face, and I'm one of these guys. I think I'm like Roger Daltrey in a Who. I feel like I have to eat this thing, even though I don't.
Yeah. All right, so listen, I remember, God rest Bernie Rosen's soul. It was probably like 11:40 in the morning, and we used to have a noon newscast. And in that noon newscast, they call it the news at noon. There was a 3.5 minute, 2-minute sports segment. So we realized that the people who do the person who's going to do the sports that day isn't there yet. They haven't come back from a story. There's no one around. He never trusted news people at the time to read a sports script. So he says to me, "You're going on." I go, I'm all of like 18. I'm going,
oh, okay. This was your first appearance.
Yeah, I'm going. What do you mean I'm going on? He goes, "No, you're going on. Do you have a tie?" I go, "Tie? I don't have anything." So he found me a tie. I fortunately had a shirt on with a collar and a button, and we quickly tied a tie. And he found someone had an old jacket there, and I put on this old. None of these clothes are mine except for my shirt, and I go on the air. My very first broadcast. I had to say,
was this Super Bowl Sunday on top of everything else, where like a billion people tune in?
Thursday afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, and Mike Schmidt did not come out Mike Schmidt when I said it on the air.
Oh, you said that on TV.
Yeah,
your first shot?
Came out. Wait a minute. This is all in 2.5 minutes. So Mike Schmidt became Mike. You know what?
Mike Schmidt.
And Mike Schmidt, and then. The next story was about the U.S. Open and Arthur Ashe.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Were you on something?
My very first broadcast, and I was so anxious to get off of the set that I never took the lavalier mic off of my tie. So I almost choked myself. Going off. And I decided at that point I would never, ever be on the air again, and that my career was effectively over within a 2.5 minute period because of Mike Schmidt and Arthur Ashe.
Bernie obviously dug it, though. He probably said, "Good job, kid." No?
He said, "Calm down. Don't worry about it. It's over. Don't let it happen again. And let's move on. You're going to be great." I said, "God bless you. You must see something to me that I don't, because after this, I was like totally done." I was like, "You got to be kidding me right now."
I was doing a boxing match live a long time ago. I remember this trip distinctly because there were many interesting aspects to it. And Virgil Hill was a light heavyweight champion of the world. He used to fight in these high school gymnasiums in North Dakota, right? So I'm in Minot, North Dakota. So I'm working with a guy who was from San Francisco that they had flown in to do the color analysis, and we're doing one of the preliminary fights. And there was, I forget who was in the ring. Let's say it was like Livingstone Bramble, and he refers to him in the middle of the fight as Bramble the Negro.
Oh no! Oh no!
And Tony, it was like 20 below zero, and the truck was outside. The truck's outside, and the producer, who was a pretty cool guy for the most part, but he was like, one of these guys that, was professionally a little bit on edge, about how things were going to go. He was good with me. He kind of trusted me, but he literally came behind this guy with piano wire.
Yeah, I bet.
And that was it, man. I was doing the fights by myself the rest of the time. So, it happens. I mean, you lose.
Yeah, but man, you got to be. You have to be. I will never forget that as long as I live. And you talk about being panicked every time you went on for like the first couple of months. Again, I was so young. I was trying to get my sea legs. But gosh almighty, you're sitting there. Especially now, you need to be not just careful, but you need to be mindful of how you say things and what you say and how it's going to impact a lot of other people. I mean, I remember.
I'm not sure though. I mean, it's like going to a comedy show, and this has actually come up many times now with a lot of comedians that have gotten the jackpots, for things that they're saying during their show. But I mean, if you're a paying customer at a comedy show, I mean, what are you expecting? Except to see the guy be himself. And the thing that's really weird about it now for me, Tony, I don't know how it is for you, because you're a little more clean cut when it comes to this sort of stuff. But, people are asking you to sort of be edgy, and, you're not necessarily going to make any noise in this business unless you're doing something that is a little bit unique or distinctive. And yet, I mean, the more things you say, with everybody that's going to be super hypersensitive to, things that are said that really don't have, any great significant meaning. It's like one of the shockers of this whole cancel culture was when they took down like the statue of Kate Smith outside the Philadelphia Flyers arena because she had done some songs on recordings that were very common and accepted at the time. That happened to be, unfortunately, I mean, when you look at the lyrics, all right, so they were blatantly racist. But, at that time, Kate Smith, that doesn't mean that she, it was somebody that was advocating this. She was just a singer,
Right.
so.
I'll push back on one thing. I don't buy in that you have to be edgy to be different. I just don't buy into that. My favorite, other than what we do, honest to goodness, my favorite sports show is Mark Packer in the afternoon on Sirius XM. It's a very mindful, very thought-provoking show. It's all, it's well done. It's well done. You leave the show going, okay, I've learned a little something, or I was inspired enough, or whatever the case might be. And I think that you do that in most cases, and you love to entertain. I mean, you have that gift. You have a gift to entertain as well.
We're trying to make people laugh a little bit about
absolutely.
what other people are taking very seriously.
Exactly. Yes. I am totally into that. I mean, come on. I wouldn't be telling the story I just told if I wasn't into the.
No, I like that.
Making people feel like, okay, I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit and share a little bit about what's going on.
So now, what happened now? How did you line up for the second time after that?
I lined up for the second time in
performance,
quite frankly. And I must have gone over a 2-minute script 100,000 times.
That's bad, though, don't you think? I'm terrible at rehearsals.
I'm awful at rehearsals. Yeah. I'm awful at rehearsals. But at the same time, I really took. I'm really mindful of putting yourself in the situation. Right, putting yourself in that situation and going actually through that situation. And I believe that works. It works for me.
Visualization is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. Putting yourself on the set.
Actually, I believe that. Yes.
Doing your newscast. Visualizing the the response you get.
Or seeing a big flop sweat coming off as you utter your first word and you realize, well, is it hot in here? Hey, whoa, do something about the AC.
It's like,
meanwhile, it's like frozen tundra. You're like,
how many times have we said something as simple as, okay, I'm on a walk, I'm not going to trip, and boom, what happened? You trip.
It's like saying, don't miss it. When you're playing a sport.
Yeah, I'm not gonna whiff at this golf ball, and boom, you're whiffing. So, how did you? So I did not hear your impressions of the Super Bowl.
I thought it was good. What else were you going to say there, right? Because
I just thought every game leading up to it, and including that game, was competitive.
Yeah, it was good.
I think it went along exactly like we thought. I have to tell you, this is probably one of the first times I don't even think I saw a commercial. I
didn't really notice the commercials so much. I saw them, but
I did not notice the commercials at all.
Yeah.
And I didn't, I love the game. I love the game. I love the competitiveness of everybody, both teams. I was happy for Matt Stafford. I would have been happy for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. It wasn't in the cards. They just could not, they just couldn't protect at all. Period.
They did a good job. I thought, but it happens, right? When, let's say you get some guy and it dances around and has a big jab in boxing and, he's going against some, tough Julio Cesar Chavez type pressure fighter that can absorb this punishment early, and you're thinking,
yeah,
eventually this guy is going to break this guy down with these body shots and he's going to get to him. And they
Burrow's
do.
Not like that.
Yeah. The offensive line, they found a way. I mean, Zach Taylor found some kind of way as offensive coordinator to kind of offset what was a huge advantage for the Rams. But unfortunately, they couldn't sustain it, which happens in sports. And they reverted back to being themselves. And it did look like there was some kind of strategic change by the Rams there, and they started running. I don't want to go like Mike Mayock on you. But,
I was going to say.
all of a sudden, they had Von Miller running these like inside stunts, and they managed to find a way so that they could only double team instead of triple team Aaron Donald, and he just overwhelmed guys. When he had one-on-one blocking Aaron Donald, he literally just pushed the guy straight back.
Yeah.
into the quarterback and then shrugged him aside like he was a masked wrestler in a tag team match, and then just completely annihilated Burrow.
I looked at my brother-in-law and I said, "It's like plowing through a display of Charmin." It was it was just like, okay, this is fun. I'm just gonna throw this back to the side. So
whatever adjustment they made, they always talk about halftime adjustments being key. And it did seem like they changed something, and at the same time, Cincinnati was only good enough to sustain their ability to get the ball off quickly and take advantage of what Burrow could do in the passing game. And they ran the ball okay also. So it was an interesting game. I was surprised the Rams couldn't run the football at all.
Yeah,
that was really weird. I mean, they tried every play they tried was just stuffed.
I think they went in. I think the Bengals went in saying, "Okay, Matt Stafford's arm's going to have to beat us."
Well, he did.
And
he eventually did it.
And
a great drive there. You like to see a
Yeah.
guy that had the choke label. We were talking about this
Right.
After the game.
Absolutely.
Which Stafford had, kind of dangling over his head, was that he never came through in big clutch situations. And he came through twice in this postseason in dramatic fashion, including sustaining just a long drive with compromised personnel. So, I give him all the credit. It was a good ball game. I really enjoyed it. It left me, Tony Segredo, wanting to see more football.
Yeah, me too. And I how many times did we hear, Jimmy Johnson say, halftime adjustments make the difference in the game? I mean, how many times did he preach that? And it's so true. It's the coaches that can come in at halftime and quickly make the adjustments that need to happen in order to either sustain what you have or overcome what you didn't do in the first half. And I think we got a schooling on that. I really do. And I enjoyed the whole season. I really enjoyed the last month and a half. I thought the playoffs were absolutely fantastic. Every week you thought, how could this week beat last week, and it did in many cases. And the Super Bowl lived up to everything it was built to. And and it came at a time when you're watching the Olympics too, and it's like, okay, I have one more week of this great sports. And
today they have Tony, transgender cross country Nordic combined. I mean, they keep making qualifications around this cross country stuff. Hey, I tell you what, there was a huge mistake made. A huge mistake made by the people that I was with on Valentine's Day. We went out as 5 couples. The old Barefoot Beach Village people, Marty the Party Sachs and that whole crew. They're fantastic people. We were out on Friday, and then we go out on Monday night, and I ended up getting a steak at this Greek place, which was okay, $65 a pop. And immediately it hit me, why the hell aren't we at Texas Roadhouse? Now, it wasn't my choice,
but you could have weighed in. Come on, let's go. You have some juice.
I know. In this case, it was completely out of my hands, and I was thinking the whole way down there, why aren't we going to Texas Roadhouse? And I wasn't necessarily going to get a steak there, but I mean, that same steak would have been like $15 at Texas Roadhouse. Ed Garcia, good to have you on the program. I mean, that was one of the huge blunders of my many errors that I've made on Valentine's Day, is listening to these people and going and getting just absolutely robbed on a ribeye steak. Good to have you on the show, my friend.
Good morning. Great to be on. How's everyone doing today?
We're doing great. Ed, I have to share a story with you. This is the God's honest truth. My brother-in-law is here from Michigan, and we were sitting down watching the game, and I don't know how it came up, but I was saying that, you and I were dear friends, that you're a Michigan guy, and that I do business with Texas Roadhouse. And he stops me right there. He goes, one of my, if not my favorite steakhouse. He goes, we go in Michigan all the time. And I went, I said, I got to tell this story on the air. I said, because it's what I hear from people who have been there before. Those who haven't call you back and they go, where have we been all this time? Because they haven't been there. And I think that that's testimony to what we do and what you do at Texas Roadhouse. Every time people go, make them feel welcome, but more than that, serve them good, consistent food every single time.
That is awesome to hear. This steak's definitely, mouth-watering. I think one of the things that bring people back to is that fresh baked bread. I mean, someone stopped me the other day. I was meeting people. We were at a Super Bowl party, and this guy, he just moved from Texas, and he was super excited. We're just sitting. He's like, "What do you do? And what do I do?" And Texas Roadhouse came up, and he just said, that bread.
That's Tony, man.
Bread. Yeah, he said, my mom, the only time I ever had bread that good was my mom made bread from scratch one time. Other than that, no one beats Texas Roadhouse. And I was like, that's what I love to hear. And it keeps coming back.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I tell people all the time. I go, when you go to Texas Roadhouse, if you're on a low carb diet, you're not going to be on that day. Just forget about it. Do what you need to do the next couple of days afterwards, but don't even worry about it, because between the bread and that sweet potato and all of the other fixins, so to speak, that you have, I just think people need to understand that they have to try it themselves and see what we talk about in terms of flavor, service, the style, how everything is done, and how they make you feel welcome all the time.
That's awesome. I couldn't agree more.
Well, listen, we love having you. We need to, we need, you know what, now that things are opening up, we need to do a little Defo, Lubie, Ed Garcia, Tony Segreto reunion here at the Texas Roadhouse in Miramar and get together.
I'm all in. I'll say this too, Ed Garcia, and I had this discussion with my son last night, because we also got whacked for like $2.25 a couple, which is not unusual.
Yeah,
in restaurants,
you could go to Texas Roadhouse 3 times.
Imagine it. I mean, maybe even more. And that's a big thing. Like food pricing and everything is escalated so much that you just come to accept that like 2 people is going to cost you $150 to a deuce to go out to eat, and that's another thing that's absolutely beautiful about Texas Roadhouse restaurants. You're not going to pay those kind of prices.
Yeah, we're super blessed. Here's one thing that you may not notice, but we still have chicken. When you go to the grocery store or you go out to restaurants and all that other stuff, chicken is actually a very, very rare item right now.
Yeah.
We're blessed with a lot of planning and purchasing, and and really we take a lot of pride in keeping the prices really, 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 really low, because we want to take care of as many people as possible. And, obviously we have to make a little bit of money, but, we don't price gouge. And that part's really important to us, taking care of that community. And that's what gives that great Texas Roadhouse feeling, is that to have that full restaurant, it creates such an awesome energy for a family. And then at the same time, as you're eating all those carbs and having some fun, in that little bit louder atmosphere, once an hour, we put on a little show for you. And, you'll see Tony and Lubie jump on in on that line dance.
I don't want them looking like the Village People in there singing YMCA. No, is it too soon to put in a reservation for next Valentine's Day? Because if you could just book me in that, I think I might be closer to one of the other locations. So, I'm Margate. Is there a Margate location? That's where we have to go. All right, Ed, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us.
You.
Thanks for your support of the show.
We love you. Thanks.
We love
Ed Garcia, ladies and gentlemen.
How could you not love Texas Roadhouse? I'm telling you.
I got whacked 65 on that steak, and you could go to some fancy steakhouse for that, and then everybody's telling me, "Oh, well, you went to a Greek restaurant and you ordered a steak. What a fool!"
Yeah, like first of all, that's like crazy to begin with. But I'm not going to
don't have it on the menu if you don't make it well. That's
exactly.
My theory. Yeah.
All I know is that when I mentioned it, how my brother-in-law jumped on it and these are true stories. These aren't, something that we're fabricating here. It's just, it's great. It really is.
All right, we're coming back with more. And Tony Segreto, old school, just getting rolling here. Mm-hmm. And it's Fine Wednesday. We do this with Tony every Wednesday. Tony also brought to you by Catholic Health Services. He's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest. Or you're, I'm so happy you joined us here on Ion Channel. Just absolutely fantastic. Google the Defo Show. You can find all of the shows that are archived here, including many appearances by the great Tony Segreto, who he never really said what he had on whoever is booking his bets.
Oh,
he dodged that. He went right into that story about his origins and broadcasting.
I did very well this year. I did very well. I came out ahead, and I came out ahead. So I'm happy, man.
Lost for the first year in my individual bookmaking venture with my friend Francesco. And don't worry, Francesco, you'll get your money, huh?
Maybe not now. Maybe not today or tomorrow.
Right after the game. He's on the phone right after the game. Sell me my money. Sell me my money.
Do you blame him?
Exactly.
Like I'm John Malkovich in Rounders. Pay that man his money. Unbelievable. All right, we're coming back with more with Tony Segredo, Moral School. A lot of things on the table here today, and many different issues as well. So we'll come back and continue the Defo Show on Ion Channel in a moment. Now that.
Oh gosh.
The time.
Sell me my money. It's 8:24.
We do the same.
Poker is your game. You're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
By the way, you sound great. I don't know how good I sound, but you sound great.
You sound really good, Tony. Better than I've ever heard you before, really. Even when we were the regular radio gig there with the Comrex and all the fancy equipment that we had. Lubie set this up last night with a bunch of tape and he had a couple of paper clips here. Things are falling apart. And yet,
I got it. Yeah,
but we couldn't be happier than to be doing this. No,
I'm honored.
I knew they were going to clobber everybody the rest of the way. So laying 30 didn't really hurt me that much. And then I did believe it or not, I used some Segredo logic and came up with Syracuse getting 6 in their ball game, and they managed to lose in overtime by 3. So we covered there.
Look at you.
Yeah,
I love Syracuse in that game. I truly love Syracuse.
I don't know how you could love them. I don't know about love.
You are such a degenerate.
Love is a strong word there, Tony.
Let's put it this way.
They lost to Florida State.
I know, but they caught me up even, so I'm happy.
Oh, very nice.
No response. No response.
Yeah,
I'm not actually.
Well, I don't know. You're dealing with another bookmaker. I don't know.
Yeah, you're lying.
Category, Tony. When other guys are getting 3 points, you're getting 11. I mean, it's crazy.
I got in the Syracuse game. We're talking about 6. I got 15.
Exactly.
That's what I thought. Yeah, of course. It's like you've died and gone to heaven, and the rest of us are in there facing guys like Lipschitz every week with the usual demands. And make sure you're not late on Tuesday. It's like, shut up, Louie. You know what? I'm sick
you sound like
you, and I pay every week.
Defo and Lubie love kicking it old school with the legendary Tony Segredo. Big thanks to Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Well, he's coming to you from gambling heaven, where the point spreads are widened in his favor. It seems like it's a matter of routine. I'm Jeff Deforrest. We are imperiled in degenerate purgatory, where nothing ever works out the way it is supposed to, including.
It's because your glass is always half empty.
I'm optimistic. I said this earlier, Tony. I don't know if you were with us earlier, but I do dream that I visualize myself hitting the progressive jackpot, getting a call attendant sign, and being in Las Vegas, and all of a sudden I hit 3 Vanna Whites, and I'm worth $2.4 million, whatever that is. So I'm optimistic.
I'm sure
every gambler has to be. Yes,
I'm sure Mustang feels like being married to you. She feels like she hit that big jackpot already.
Definitely.
I'm sure she feels that way every day.
What
I'm
are you
sure
smoking, Tony? Are you in Florida? Are you getting some of that good weed from Gainesville?
I'm in Florida,
what are you doing?
But I'm back in Florida. But I will tell you, she must wake up every morning and just go, "Oh, I can't believe it."
She does a Lou Gehrig speech.
She says,
I'm
female
the
variety.
luckiest
Today I
woman
feel like
in
the luckiest woman
face
on the face of the earth. Right.
Yeah.
With
She rolls over.
answer.
She sees you there and she goes, "Oh."
She rolls over, all right. In disgust.
She rolls out of bed.
We got Mike Lubitz here. We're on Ion Channel. We're having.
What
I wanted to get some.
done?
I wanted to get some
What
quick
have I
takes here,
done?
Tony. Can we play a new game here on the show?
Absolutely.
Quick takes.
Anything
Quick
you want.
Takes from Tony Segredo.
Got it.
Quick takes from
quick
Tony
takes.
Segredo under the auspices of something that we sort of established earlier in the program,
Okay.
which is Do You Believe?
Okay.
This is under the heading. It's like a TV evangelist sort of thing. Do you believe, Tony Segreto? Quick takes on these now, because there are a bunch of them.
Okay.
That Tom Brady will return with a team other than Tampa Bay to the National Football League next year. Do you believe?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Well, next year.
You have a little room for embellishment here, Tony. I mean, based on what?
I'm not sure if it'll be another team other than Tampa Bay. I just think he'll come back.
Okay. That's quick take number one, Tony Segreto. All right. Do you believe, Tony Segreto, that Aaron Rodgers will not be a Green Bay Packer, although he will play football in the NFL next year?
No.
No.
I believe he'll be a Packer.
Okay. You have Rodgers coming back to the Green Bay Packers. Do you believe, Tony Segreto?
Do you believe
that Stephen Ross will be found to be complicit in trying to bribe his coach, Brian Flores, with $100,000 bonus per loss and may be forced to sell the Miami Dolphins?
I can't answer that. I can't. I think any answer.
Do you believe it though? Do you believe it?
I don't think so.
Is it possible?
I believe this. I believe this. I believe he may be looking to sell the team. I believe that that's very possible.
It sounds like a little inside tip there from
inside tip. No
one told you that. Nat
nothing.
Moore, Danny Boy, who might have implied that.
No, and there's no attribution. That's just an instinct. It's
anonymous sources have
led
to
It's sort of like no anonymous sources, no sources at all. I'm being flat out honest.
All right.
We can play this back.
What do you think about that whole situation? Just out of curiosity.
I think that it's a shame either way. I think it's awful either way. I think that if he's found that it happened, how awful. If it's revealed that there was no truth to it at all, how awful that he had to go through that. So I just think that it's just a horrible situation, and I think that it blemishes the franchise. I think people sort of always going to like that one eye open, one eye closed, like what's going on. I think Brian Flores openly admitted he committed professional suicide. We'll see what happens. And I just keep shaking my head because I can't, I don't know. Part of you says this, like,
the problem is it is very believable, and then on top of that, you're thinking, I don't know what his lawyers told him, but it's going to be very hard to implicate and win a lawsuit against the NFL for having systemic racism.
Yeah,
they'll say they're doing everything in their power. Look what we've done. We've tried everything. It just hasn't happened yet. There's only 32 guys that make these decisions, the owners, in terms of who they're going to hire. And guess what? They haven't been hiring black head coaches. For the most part. Eric Bieniemy thinks about. Lubie's favorite example is always this Eric Bieniemy guy, the Kansas City Chiefs. OC, who people say either doesn't interview very well or he wasn't calling all the plays. Andy Reid was doing that. So he's not as much of a glorified candidate as people would think based on the success of the team and the offense. But there were 9 jobs open. This guy didn't get one of them this year, and he's already interviewed under the Rooney Rule like for 100 other jobs.
I know.
He's become Gene Upshaw all over again.
Yeah, I know. I totally get it. So I just don't feel we can cast any aspersions until this all comes out. I guess the questions I always have is, A, how do you make this up? And B, if you did, shame on you.
I can't imagine, with and what I was going to say, with sort of the flimsy nature of the assertions in this lawsuit that would be very hard to actually prove about the National Football League. In a case where a legal system is going to decide whether or not they're actually blatantly and openly racist or not.
Right, because the team can always say, we felt this person was a better candidate because.
Yeah, and it's their discretion, right? It is.
Exactly.
There's no law that says you have to do this.
It's the other thing that you wonder about.
Well, and that's the thing. So I would think it was even less likely that Flores would completely fabricate, a complete BS about the potential payments. And then if you think about this whole story, we've been talking about this. The irony, you finally, as a black coach in the league, 15 years in the league, get your first head coaching job or whatever it was, a dozen years in the league, including a tenure under Belichick, and a very important role that he played on championship teams. and now you get your first head coaching job, and you're one of like 3 black head coaches. So you obviously don't want to fall on your face and continue to perpetuate this whole crazy Al Campanis notion that these guys can't lead people, which may be the position of these staunchy, filthy rich owners. But I mean, then to have the guy that hired you say, "Well, listen, man, listen, Brian, I want you to lose every game. You know, in fact, I got another $1.6 million for you if you go 0-16 this year, on top of whatever your salary was." And I mean, you would think, my God, how could this be? It would be your worst nightmare. Like, welcome to the Twilight Zone. I finally get a job, and I want to distinguish that black head coaches can succeed, and I got a guy paying me to lose.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And he does. And if in fact it's true, if we don't know if it is or isn't, we're just going to keep continuing, harping on that so people don't misunderstand. If in fact it's true, he didn't do it because he would always, his team would always be resurrected. They were like the Phoenix. They'd lose big, and they'd lose big week after week, and then boom, they just start reeling them off. And
well, it makes it even more remarkable that the guy had any success that year, if that assertion is true. All right.
And here's at the end of the day, if you're a Dolphin fan, what do you do? And again, I put myself in the position of, I'm in the administration office of the Miami Dolphins, and I'm one of the sales guys who has to sell season tickets. How do I even go about doing this?
Hey, Mo, you want to pick up those 2 season tickets all over again? I know we deliberately tried to lose, but so what? We could have got Joe Burrow.
It's not even that so much. It's like if I'm talking to X company, if I'm that company, do I want to hitch my, do I want to hitch up to that wagon? Do I want to take my horse and, tie it to that wagon? I don't know. I just don't know.
Good point, Tony Segretto. A couple of more on the Do You Believe here, Tony Segretto. Okay. Dan Snyder, do you believe that eventually, I mean, no one's happier about the whole Stephen Ross, Brian Flores thing than Dan Snyder, because, completely overshadowing the story where women are coming in front of Congress and saying that Snyder himself, like, personally groped them on numerous occasions, and it was going on forever. And they've already fined the team $10 million, not for naming themselves the Commanders, but for all of these sexual, abuse allegations or whatever that were going on in there, and the way they conducted their business. Do you believe he will be forced out of the NFL at any time?
Absolutely. No question.
Yes? All right. You believe that?
No question. No question.
All right.
Finally, it seems like they're going to get him.
Final one. Do you believe, Tony Segretto, on Old School with Tony Segretto, that Zach Thomas will eventually get into the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
All right, good.
I think it's going to be. I think I'm not. It's not going to be easy, but I think.
How many years has he been eligible already? I mean, it's not like he's running out of time completely, but
no, he's not running.
It seems like it gets more prohibitive once you're 3-4
years
years into the process.
I would hate, and I may be jaded on this because I consider Zach a really good friend, and I have a great respect for how he conducts his life, how he conducted himself as a player. His love for his family and his children. I have a great respect for that man. And so I'm a little bit jaded. I hope it doesn't become a situation where I will never forget being at a Hall of Fame induction in Canton and looking at Bob Kuechenberg, God rest his soul.
Oh, he was crushed by
watching through the bleachers, seeing, thinking to himself, I should be up there. And that would be the last thing I'd want to see Zach Thomas go through because he deserves it. As did Kuechenberg deserve to be, in the Hall of Fame. And
they tortured Jerry Kramer forever, a brilliant player.
Yeah, they sure did.
Heyday of the Packers, and they finally Veterans Committee. They finally got the guy in there because they thought he was going to check out sometime soon.
Yeah, no, they sure did, and I'm hopeful that he gets in there.
I hope so. I mean, who do you go to? I mean, everybody goes to Urlacher as the example of a linebacker, inside linebacker, who Zach Thomas was much better than statistically and consistently, and yet Urlacher was a popular player because of his imposing, Nitschke-like approach.
There's the word. There's the word, imposing. Zach wasn't imposing. Right, he just
which makes it even more remarkable that he was
exactly. He just played the game hard, consistently, sideline to sideline. I mean, he did it all. He did it absolutely all. Played hurt, played on a team that at the time sometimes was struggling, sometimes was doing well, but he was as consistent. You could bet your life that every time you'd go watch Zach Thomas play, you would watch a guy play hard, play well, make very few mistakes, be critical in critical situations, come through. He was a gamer. I don't think there should be a question. That's just me.
Well, and then final thing on do you believe Tony Segreto? Then I know you think our theories, were probably designed by Professor Irwin Corey when we have these, just legitimate solutions to serious, things that plague all of the sporting life. But and this one I got from my good buddy and a good friend of yours when he was broadcasting here, the great Eddie Kaplan, who I thought was an extremely wisdom-based sports theorist. All right,
Yeah,
he was outside the box, but I mean, when you really thought about it, it made perfect sense. And this one does to me, and that is that there should be no second and third ballot. You retire 5 years later, you're eligible for Hall of Fame stature. You're either a Hall of Famer or you're not.
I agree.
And if that means that they let a lot more people in any given year and they have 20 people at the induction ceremony, so be it. But I mean, how do you become more of a Hall of Famer 6 years or 7 years or 8 years after your retirement than you were when you were already out of the game for 5 years?
Like, what happened to your legacy over those 6 years? Did it get better all of a sudden?
It's absurd to me, the whole process.
Listen, I remember a very wise person.
You agree with me on this one, Tony?
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Right.
Listen, this is just for whatever.
Let's go to Texas Roadhouse. It's on me, Tony.
That's right. Thanks. Oh, thanks a lot. I'm sure. Yeah. I thought you were going to give me Lubie's gift.
He brought an expired coupon into Texas Roadhouse on Valentine's Day, and I got thrown out and disgraced the program. I'm surprised Ed even came on the show today after that.
I remember that there were a number of people who about 5 years after I had retired, a number of people had contacted me.
They wanted you to go into the Hall of Fame?
And they said, would you consider coming back?
Yeah.
And I was talking to a dear friend of mine. I was talking to my wife, and then I was talking to a really, really dear friend of mine who I have a great respect for, who's extremely wise, very, very wise. And I told him, and his response was, do you need to go back? And that wasn't the issue. He goes, well, do you understand that your legacy is set? That the only thing you're going to do, you're not going to improve on your legacy anymore.
Yeah.
And the only thing you can do is hurt it.
If like a burnt out Ralph Rennick at that point.
If you go back, they're expecting you to succeed and take them out of the ashes.
Yep.
And if you don't, you failed.
Yeah.
So why would you put yourself through that, right? So
plus you're diversified, so you're doing as well or better now.
To your point, Zach Thomas doesn't get elected because they don't think he's good this year, good enough to get in this year. All of a sudden, 3 years later or 2 years later, he got better. How does that get better?
I'm with you.
Unless they're saying, well, the people he's against didn't deserve to be here. It's like, well, then they shouldn't have been on the ballot to begin with.
A startling development on the Defo Show. Tony Segreto in full agreement with one of our solutions to a big problem. I love this, Tony. It's fantastic, and I feel a tighter bond with you now than ever.
Just thinking about it. It's giving me hives already.
I tell you what's great, man. And you turn this on to these people, and it always sounds a little bit hyperbolic when a guy is endorsing somebody or a service, and they say it's the greatest and this and that, and they're going to do this, and maybe you have the experience where it's just the same as every other experience. There's nothing exceptional about it. But in this case, absolutely, the gospel truth, Tony Segreto, and that is that Catholic Health Services is absolutely the best organization and service company at what they do in terms of medical rehab and medical care of any that you will find, certainly in South Florida and anywhere else where they're located. Just, a phenomenal job by these people and a big difference maker also.
Where everybody knows your name. They're that type of group, they take every human being that comes in that needs rehab and they make them feel special, and they are special. They make them feel like they're the only one that they concern themselves with. And at that time they are. They make them feel that they're going to get back to normal, which in most cases they do. And they do it with a grace, an integrity, and a passion that is unmatched. And I think the thing that we harp on all the time, and we did it last week and the week before that, especially when it came to you and your mother and your family, is that the entire family is involved, because the entire family is impacted by this loved one being there and needing rehab. And when that loved one comes home, regardless of whether they live with you or don't live with you, it's still impacting you and your family, because you know how you have to handle it. You know how you have to make sure that they continue to thrive and get better. Listen, February is National Heart Month. This is all about taking care of your heart. This is all about being proactive on making sure you understand what the risks are for those of you who are older, for those of you who need help. And this is where another thing where Catholic Health Services comes in. They're about being proactive. They don't want to have to take care of people all the time. They want to make sure you protect yourself. So this is where you go on their website, you listen and you watch all of the different things that they can do for you. You read, you call them up and go, how can I make myself healthier? And they will lead you down the path you need to go on. And this is what Catholic Health Services is about. Trust me when I tell you, when Defo tells you he watched it firsthand, this is a compassionate, loving, talented group of people who step and repeat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they do it with as much grace and honor as you possibly can.
Great communicators also. I mean, you get a call from a doctor. If you're not dealing with Catholic Health Services, I would call the hospital. 2 days later, I'd get a call back from a different doctor than the one that I asked for. Mm-hmm. And I would say, how is my mother doing? And he would say, I don't know. And you're like, what? You don't know? Well, is she alive? And they couldn't even tell you that. And then once we got Catholic Health Services involved, very succinct, direct communications with all of their experts. And it was great because there were different things involved, and they had different people that oversaw the various categories and departments in the organization and in terms of the medical care. And each time you were like overwhelmingly impressed with the person who was communicating with you. And, that's a whole different ballgame than what you get with standard medical care.
When you ask about your loved one and they can actually tell you, oh, she or he talked about so-and-so, it makes you realize that, hey, they really know this person. They care about this person.
Actually saw them.
Yeah. They're not just reading off a sheet saying, oh yeah, we gave them this, and this. And I think that's what's important, because they get to know you personally. And to me, that's the key. You're just not another, patient that is a mark. Okay, that patient needs this and this. They get to know you. They get to know what makes you tick. They get to understand what your levels of threshold are in terms of pain, working out, what you need to do to get better. So I think that's critical.
You guys out there in the audience, and you and Lubie, Tony, can't hear that guy hammering against the wall here. It sounds like Timothy Robbins digging that hole that he made to get out of Shawshank.
Yeah.
Is that coming through? I don't know. I hear it loud and clear.
Yeah. By the way, I just saw a message come in, Lubie. I'm not sure if that was to you or not, about Al Golden being named defensive coordinator for the Fighting Irish, which I'm sure.
I think it's classic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. It's perfect.
Yeah. I think
it'd be a perfect fit there. All right, we're coming back with more Old School with Tony Segreto. I'm Jeff Deforrest. I tell you what, also, great recommendation, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, Overseas
Anything
Highway.
Jimmy's involved in is first class, and I can't wait to go down to the Big Chill.
2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
When are we going? Every week you say 2 weeks. It's been 6 months with 2 weeks already.
Kind of needed the football season to come to an end there to guarantee the Jimmers' presence, and then we're working out the final details. My buddy Tommy Fox is the ultimate. He's like the Henry Kissinger of negotiations, man. I mean, he can make even the most, arch rival and bitter of enemies.
Are you going to include me in this deal, or?
You have to come down here, man. I mean, didn't you do any number of Jimmy Johnson shows? You were always on the Shula shows.
We actually did. We did a show with Jimmy's house when he first built that house in the Keys, and
this is just like it, actually.
Special place. Special place.
You're right there in the bay. Although I don't think he has the facilities at home to serve the kind of food that they have at Jimmy Johnson's.
Oh, I don't know, man. Jimmy knew how to do it up, man. He was. He's excellent.
Well, and he has influence in what's on the menu there, because I think it's the pork nachos that he is a huge advocate of. And, I mean, these things literally are like piled to the ceiling, and it's not one of those things where, there's a little bit of cheese on the top there, and once you get past the first layer, you're eating basically dry chips. Water! water.
Yeah.
No, I mean
So-
just stuffed with all kinds of delicious things. I mean, they really know how to do it there.
Let me throw something out at you since we're
Yeah.
old school. Speaking of, piling up to the ceiling, if you were to say Dagwood sandwich, do you think anybody other than you and I would understand what a
Well,
Dagwood
at Denny's, I
sandwich
used to
is?
know the Dagwood at Denny's. I don't know if that's.
Oh yeah.
But at Denny's,
Dagwood sandwich. I'm not even familiar with that, Tony Segredo.
You know,
that may
Blondie
be.
and Dagwood, the Dagwood used to make a sandwich like.
Oh yeah, like 20 layers.
Yeah, you couldn't even bite into it. So, I haven't been to Denny's in a long time, Lubie. Do you like going there, getting their Grand Slam breakfast?
I haven't been to Denny's in years. I'm just saying, when I was like in high school, that was our thing. We'd go to Denny's and they had a Dagwood, which was
the Moons over Miami, where
it was like a thing on the Moons over Miami, but like on steroids, because you got ham, bacon, sausage, cheese.
That's it.
Everything you need to kill yourself.
Yeah, it was like a heart attack.
Great.
I was young.
Cardiologist on call. Yeah,
exactly.
Christian Barnard is on your
here's
table.
His or her number right here. His or her number. It's like, okay.
What made you think of that, Tony? The Dagwood sandwich.
When you said that the nachos were piled up to the ceiling, I just thought of a Dagwood. What, did you forget already?
You could have come up with a pastrami sandwich on roast beef from Kansas Deli.
Yeah, or
a Laspana's original hoagie. Gail,
I was telling Roseanne this. I remember my mom and dad would go to Wolfie's, or if they were in New York,
Wolfie's Rascal House was.
They'd go to Wolfie's. Yeah. And they would get, my mother would get a pastrami and my father would get corned beef, and then they would take half and half, and they would each have half
as a brick, though. Yeah.
Huh? Oh yeah.
Thick as a brick, that sandwich.
Yeah. And the Gouldens mustard, the old mustard man, and oh my goodness gracious, it was
good stuff. Yeah. I mean, there was a Carnegie Deli at the Mirage. I think Lubie never made it out there with us for that trip, but yeah, and it was right there off the race book. So if you made a score, you could afford the $37 it was for like a roast beef sandwich and a knish there. Right? All right, we're coming back with more. We'll wrap this up with Tony Segredo, a little old school, having a great time with you guys. Tony brought you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, Catholic Health Services, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. We will have arrangements, Tony. That's happening. Believe me. When we say something
I'm
like
waiting.
This is happening,
I'm waiting. I swear to God, it's been what? It's been 2 weeks.
We've been talking about it for 6 months, but it is happening. I know this for a fact.
It started where there was no shot I could be there because I was in Vermont. Now it's where you better do it before I go back to Vermont.
If we don't, then we probably won't be doing much of anything. So that would be unfortunate. All right, we're coming back with more. That was good. How did you like Do You Believe, Tony Segredo? Is that something
I loved it. Like, can we do something like that every week?
I'll come up with some music.
We can
have some stuff. Yeah. Do you believe?
Yeah, we need a little music. Yeah,
we'll get some TV evangelists. As the intro to the segment there. We might be able to dress this up and sell it to somebody. All right, back with more in a moment. Now that. The time. See, Jack just sent me a text. Yeah, let's sell it. It's 8:51.
Where's Jack Namer? Is he watching, listening?
He's always involved, my friend. He's always involved.
Jack.
8:52.
Tony Segredo here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
What do you think in this one, Tony? You'll be handicapping. Will you be laying points? Will you be taking points?
I'm really struggling with who I want to win. You have Joe Burrow, who's just the quintessential. He's the second coming in Montana. That kind of good-looking, unflappable, just can get for 3 quarters, get the snot kicked out of him, and then that 4th quarter still get up off the mat. Certainly the definition of what Muhammad Ali said, the definition of a champion is how many times you can get up off the mat. And to see Joe Burrow do that with an offensive line that's filled with matadors, it's remarkable.
Matadors, listen to you, Tony.
Well, yeah, every single one of those offensive linemen play Ole.
They come into that song, Ole, Ole, I cannot fly.
Yeah.
9 sacks against Tennessee.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Wow, that was a big differential there. I mean, that was kind of going back and seeing just how different the sound is.
Yeah.
Since you got this new, very fancy-looking microphone there.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But let me, I just got an alert on my phone, and Defo, you'll appreciate this. I don't know.
Yes.
But the last standing Bobby Rubino's rib place is going out of business as of February 20th.
I like Bobby.
Is that in Pompano Beach?
The one here? The one in Pompano Beach. It's
right up the
last
street.
Day is February 20th. Yeah.
Wow.
It's going to be replaced by another chain restaurant. But what a legacy Bobby Rubino's had here for the longest time until Flanagan's came in, and Flanagan's then sort of started ruling the roost.
Well, yeah, Tony Roma's and Bobby Rubino's were pretty much synonymous when it came to ribs. And people, this is the Deep South, my friend. I didn't realize that until years after I moved here, that there was still a Deep South mentality, even as much of a so-called world, wide destination Miami is, with so many different types of cultures and things happening here, and people want to gravitate here from all over the world. You would think it would be more sophisticated, but ribs were big when I moved here. And almost any number of shows was either at all of these radio shows I used to do with Dolphin players. It was either Tony Roma's. I almost said Tony Romo there. Tony Roma's or Bobby Rubino's.
Bobby Rubino's,
was always
absolutely.
a place, for coaches shows, Schnellenberger show, Jimmy Johnson, Butch Davis.
Yeah, and then Flanagan's came in and they did the same thing, man. They started supplying
a lot of
food
shows
for
there
everybody,
too.
And so it's a real. It was a real staple in South Florida for the longest time. Yeah, it'll be that. It's the last one. I didn't realize there was only one left.
And they have like some phenomenal special where you get like 2 dinners for the price of 1. So you're getting like 2 racks of ribs for $25. Price of food, we were talking about it earlier. I mean, it just skyrocketed to the point where you go to any restaurant, and my son was at like Chili's or something, and they got the tab for $200 for his family of 4, 2 of which are kids. Ordering like $1.95 chicken nuggets. Off the menu.
Yeah.
So not cheap to go out and eat.
No, it isn't. It isn't. It's not cheap for anyone. So it's almost. Sometimes you say to yourself, it's probably better if we just stayed home and cooked.
Even that's getting prohibitive. It really is. You're getting whacked.
Who cooks in your house, Defo? Who cooks in your house?
The Mustang occasionally cooks. I kind of take care of myself for the most part. Also, a very simple guy to feed here with whatever it is that I'm trying to do in terms of maintaining some kind of physicality that will allow me to walk when I'm 80.
Yeah.
Which you don't want to be a fat guy. Nobody loves a fat man, right? Jethro Tull came up with that.
Who came up with that?
Don't want to be the fat man, right? Remember that song? No. Don't want to be a fat man. People would think that I was just good fun, and that's pretty much the truth, right? All right, Tony, where are you turning your attention in the sporting world? I got about a minute to go here.
I'm going to finish up the Olympics. I'm
what do you look for there? I mean, what are you into?
I'm curious to see how this figure skating thing all plays out. I'm so just so upset with how they're handling it so far.
Well, it's perfect. The girl tested positive. Everybody else will be thrown out of the games immediately. And because she's Russian, she's still in.
Now that the U.S. men's hockey team has been eliminated, I'm looking forward to seeing the women, the women go and see what we can do against Canada and see if we can come away with the gold. So,
wow.
I'm looking forward to this final week. I love the Olympics. I told you I love the Winter Games, and I've really enjoyed it. I know it's been marred. It really has been. I think with the way that they're handling the figure skating, the mere fact that it's where it is.
Well, and judging is always extremely it's subjective, but it's also very suspect. A lot of the judging.
In this case, it seems to be even more suspect. I mean, there have been a couple of disqualifications where a Chinese athlete has been moved up to win. It's just been, and when you.
It's kind of like the Argentine tango takedown from many years ago that I never got over when they disqualified my horse that won by 12 lengths.
Oh,
and didn't
God,
bother
of course. Yeah. Why don't we go back to horse race? But here's no. So here's the thing.
It all centers around horse racing.
Yeah, no, listen, here's the thing. Again, I thought Scott Hamilton was amazing. He was on NBC the other morning and said, when he skated, if there was any problem with a blood test, that athlete was done.
You're done. You're done.
Period. Done. You're out.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we're impacting all of these people and these young people who have worked their whole lives to get to this point, and they may just get nothing out of it because we're still not coming up with an answer here.
Well,
all of a sudden now I took my grandfather's medicine. It's like, come on, are you kidding me?
No, it happens.
How do you get that mixed up?
She had 3 heart medicine.
Putin has threatened to open fire on the Ukraine today.
Exactly.
If this chick doesn't win the gold. So, what would you expect, Tony, from the International Olympic Committee? And USADA, though, was supposed to be a drug organization, supposed to be a reputable organization, right? Where they took no nonsense.
It's just very disturbing. So
Johnny Weir was very upset about that. Johnny Weir, who were not for, we were saying earlier, Tony, I don't know if you caught it, were it not for the fact that the Olympics are ongoing this year because NBC had the Super Bowl, he would have been the sideline reporter there, nudging Michelle Tafoya into an early retirement. Let's go to Johnny Weir on the sidelines. Johnny, what do you have for us? All right, Tony, we love you. Texas Roadhouse, great restaurant and string of restaurants, unbelievable. People say chain restaurants and they immediately, get palpitations of negativity. But, a well-run chain is a fantastic asset, especially with the pricing the way it is there. So they're great.
Well, remember, they make all of their things. Every single restaurant makes 99% of what you eat at that restaurant.
Yeah,
they're not shipped in a truck or anything like that, and they're all independently. They have their own managers, and they do it the Texas Roadhouse way. They do it smart. And when we talk about Catholic Health Services, that is one of a kind. Nothing to compare it to. Put an asterisk by Catholic Health Services because they are the benchmark that other places want to be like.
No doubt about it. Tony, we love you. Great time as always. Thank so much for being with us. We'll talk to you again next week.
All right, man. Have a great week. Bye, Lubie.
Bye. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen. He agreed with us on our solution to the Hall of Fame nonsense that goes on. Unbelievable. Yeah, you're either a Hall of Famer or you're not. I mean, why would you become more of a Hall of Famer after 5 more subsequent years that have gone by since your retirement? That's crazy. So there you go. And the overtime thing, I'm dead right on, Lubie. The more you think about it, just resume any NFL game from where it left off when the time ran out and make it sudden death. First team to score. If you happen to have the ball when the game ended, then guess what? You have the ball when it resumes.
There you go.
Correct?
Sure.
All the work that has gone into the dynamic of where the game is at the conclusion of the game just resumes. It's not thrown out the window. So now it's some new cockamamie modified scoring Stableford scoring system. You're going to decide the outcome of an NFL game. But we're starting from scratch with a coin flip. That is overwhelmingly influential. Unbelievable. All right, that's going to do it. A lot of fun. How about that? We solved the solutions of the problems of the world with valid solutions.
Wonderful.
Take a shot tomorrow with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Do you hear that guy with a jacket?
Yes, now I hear it. So we can probably take a break if you want to say.
Waiting for the roof to cave in here.
What
the hell are they doing? All right. See you tomorrow at 7. As we leave you know that.
The time.
Jack's got to be flipping out. What are they doing there? It's 9:03.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.